Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to SDPN's Game Over Vancouver. I'm your host for the evening, Parker Halliwell, aka Parker's Pucks. It is great to be joining you after a Canucks win. Last time I was here, it was that heartbreaking loss against the New Jersey Devils. However, this time we get to be happy. We get to have fun. We get to talk about how your Vancouver Canucks took down for the first time in 7 games against the Tampa Bay Lightning, 4 years, in fact, that the Canucks have beaten the Tampa Bay Lightning. So a streak is broken. You have Brock Boeser putting up 3 goals as he's on fire. He's now tied with Austin Matthews for the top of the league, which we'll get to later. So as always, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the SDPN channel. You can also follow at SDPN Sports on Twitter. You can find me, Parker's Pucks, on YouTube and Twitter. But folks, let's get right into it with the first period of this game. We're going to break it down for you. We'll go through everything that happened. I'll give you my thoughts, my reactions. And then near the end of the show, we will get to your thoughts, your reactions, your takes in the presser. I'm just happy to be here after a win. 3 straight wins. This homestand is going absolutely flushingly for the Vancouver Canucks. Is that a term? I'm not sure. Swimmingly is the word I was looking for. The Canucks take on Florida, a team that they've shown that they can beat. They beat them once earlier this year on Thursday on Luongo night, which we will get to as well. So let's start with the first period. It didn't look great at the beginning. The Tampa Bay Lightning score their first and thankfully only goal 85 seconds into this game, and not a great look for Tyler Myers, I'll say. It's just 4 men coming in, sort of 3 defenders, and it's a pass from Hagel to the far side to Mikhail Sergachev, and then Point just drives the net on the near side. Sergachev fires it back door to an untouched Braden Point. Tyler Myers was in the way. Not in the way enough, didn't get a piece, or enough of a piece at the very least. It's just sort of bad defense on transition. It's like a rush play in basketball, right? The transition defense is very important, right? You need to quell any rushes. This was a rush that the Canucks just allowed to get through, and they allowed Tampa Bay to sort of walk all over them. So 85 seconds in, not a great start. Canucks are down 1, but the Canucks do get a power play. And this is all thanks to Nils Höglander. We are going to talk about Nils Höglander quite a bit tonight because he was fantastic. He's fantastic tonight. Goes in on a one-on-one, just him and a D-man. And instead of trying to do a little toe drag shot to try to, change the angle, get it through, he says, no, I'm just going to put my head down and I'm just going to drive the net. And he draws a penalty, forces the hold. So the Canucks are the power play, and they are just snapping the puck around this entire power play. Just everybody is just whipping it back and forth. And then, the puck gets cleared at one point. They come back into the zone. They keep whipping it back and forth. And then Quinn Hughes finds Andrei Kuzmenko, who's on the left-hand side at the face-off dot, so he's in the one-timer spot on that side. He just tees it up, and it's a perfectly placed shot. It's above the pad. It's just inside the near post. Vasilevsky can't get there in time, and just like that, we're tied at 1. And the biggest thing for this, honestly, the goal's great. The fact that one's great. The fact that Andrei Kuzmenko gets the monkey off of his back a little bit. You saw the big celebration that he gave. That is enormous for the Canucks, right? If Andrei Kuzmenko can get back to being Andrei Kuzmenko, who has looked like he's just lost that bit of confidence, slumps are real, right? And for him to get out of that is fantastic. And it reflected the rest of the game. I mean, Alex mentions it in the chat right now. The rest of the game, Andrei Kuzmenko was very, very good. His forecheck was great. He didn't get involved in the score sheet other than that first goal, but he made a difference tonight. He was very good. And then, still in the first period, Canucks take another too many men penalty. We saw it against Carolina. And this time, Niels Oman just goes off the ice and 2 forwards jump on. Some sort of miscommunication on the bench. I feel like that's on the coach, that one. If you got 2 guys thinking that they're the guy who's up to the plate, and clearly only one of them supposed to be. So it's a too many men call. And then the Canucks actually did a really good job on this penalty kill. What was the penalty kill on the night? Does it show me this here? Penalty kill was 3 for 3 There's 3 opportunities for Tampa tonight, and they killed all 3, and they killed all 3 quite well. This one was very good. They, like, every single zone entry the Canucks challenged, and they thwarted the majority of them. I think Tampa Bay only really got set up once, so that was great. Then Pettersson takes a tripping penalty in his own zone, and the best chance of that Tampa had really for the entire game was here, where Steven Stamkos gets the puck alone, essentially on the hash marks on the far side of the ice. Like essentially in the slot, right? I say far side of the ice is in far side from the camera view. He gets stopped, and then his rebound gets stopped as well. Like Demko sliding over, making 2 huge saves on, one of the best goal scorers ever, really. Steven Stamkos, he's career like 16% shooting percentage to stop 2 high dangers in a row is it's big. Kept the Canucks tied up. And that's really how this first period ends. The Canucks killed that penalty off as well. So it's 1-1 after the first period. The shots in this first period were 11-4. For Tampa Bay. So not ideal, right? In no way is that an ideal period, but it's 1-1, you're at home, and the Canucks have been a second period team all year long, right? That's been how we've essentially known them, how they've worked all year, is capitalizing in the second period. And what do they do in the second period? Well, they just give the puck to Brock Besser. Honestly, the first 10 minutes of this period, the Canucks were just in the Tampa Bay zone. Like, they had all the pressure. They weren't doing a lot of like super high danger things, but the puck was never coming the other way. They just kept the puck down in the Tampa zone, passed it around, made a couple plays. And then finally, Brock Besser breaks the tie. Say that 5 times fast. Filip Hronek holds the puck in at the line, throws it on net. JT Miller gets the rebound, which is stopped. A great save by Vasilevsky, but the rebound goes the other way. And Brock Besser just swats it in on the backhand. Very well done. That's how Besser scored a lot of his goals this year, right? We've known him, especially early in his career, as this sniper, right? He's this guy who finds some open space and he just rips the puck. Besser has now 21 goals this year, but at this point, right, like how many of his goals are actually like great shots? So many of them are just him playing with JT Miller, being in the right spot and finishing plays when they come to him. That has been Besser's MO this season, and it's awesome to see that he's capitalizing. And then the period continues. Not a bunch going on. Canucks still in the Tampa Bay zone for the most of the time. But then, with about 3 minutes to go in the second period, Quinn Hughes just does Quinn Hughes stuff here. He gets the puck from Besser at the point. Besser stays at the point. Quinn Hughes says, all right, I'm going to go for a skate. He just takes it all the way around the net, comes back out in front of the net, and no one has picked up Brock Besser, who stopped inside the blue line, dead center of the ice, waiting. So Hughes goes around, looks up. Oh, there's Brock Besser alone, high slot, kind of outside the slot's a bit high, but there he is. And he tees him up. Brock Besser rips it. Just absolutely burns Vasilevsky, one of the best goalies in the game, with just a hard slap shot. We love it. Great shot from Besser. It's his 20th of the year. I just mentioned how not many of Besser's goals are like pure shots. That was one of them, which is great. He's scoring it every way he can. And so that's his 20th of the year to make it 3-1 for the Canucks. And overall, I mean, it's just a really big second period from the second period team, right? In this sort of this lull that the Canucks have had, right? They started the season so strong, and then they've fallen into a bit of a rut. And if this is a rut for them, where they just win one, lose one for a month or 9 games or whatever it was, that's pretty good, right? Like, teams are going to have slumps. If that's a slump for this team, for them to go through that and then be like, all right, let's get back on the horse and let's win 3 in a row. That's big. And a big part of that is their second periods, right? They've gone out and dominated in second periods all season. I don't know why. It doesn't make much sense. But maybe it's just adjustments from the first, and they're picking things up and they're able to capitalize on them before the other teams can adjust back. And it worked for them as they get 2 more, and they outshot Tampa Bay 14-5 in the second period. And if we look at it analytically at 5-on-5, Natural Stat Trick has the first period. Expected goals were 68% for Tampa, 32% for the Canucks. So pretty rough period for the Canucks, but hey, they got out of it, tied at 1. There was only 1 high danger chance on each side in the first. Second period though, 84% expected goals for the Canucks to 16 for Tampa Bay. High danger chances in the second period, 4-0 at 5-on-5. You loop in all situations, it gets a little bit, it's still good, 73-26%. High danger chances go down to 6-2, but either way, 6-2. Canucks dominated second period. They were very, very good. And that gave them a 3-1 lead, which they took into the third period. And they did what teams do in the NHL in third periods when they're up 2 goals. score effects take over, the other team starts to pile it on, and they just sort of sat back. What is great is that the occasions that the Canucks have sat back to protect a lead this year, while I don't like it as a play style, it has worked more often than not. So you have to give some respect to that. And of course, it's going to work more often than not when you're ahead. But the Canucks sort of took their foot off the gas that they took their 2 goals that they earned in the second period and the 2-goal lead they earned. And they said, all right, that's good enough for us. We're going to ride with that. So we go to the third period and a tough start because Phil DiGiuseppe takes a penalty in the offensive zone, which you just can't do, right? Like, especially like PDG started this season as this dark horse, like guy who came out of nowhere, a really good story, playing with, Miller and Besser and looked great for the first couple weeks of the season, but it wasn't sustainable, right? He got hot, and all credit to the Canucks coaching for seeing a guy who's hot and placing him in a spot to succeed, because he did do quite well for a little bit of time. He's just been pretty invisible these last couple of games, and especially tonight. And I'm going to talk about it when we get to, sort of my overall thoughts on the game. But guys like Dakota Joshua stood out tonight. Teddy Bluger stood out tonight. Phil DiGiuseppe, not really, didn't really stand out. So, I'm wondering if, maybe when Pius Suter comes back, if PDG is a guy to maybe be on the hot seat there. However, on this power play, it's Thatcher Demko. It is the Thatcher Demko show, and it was all night tonight. Sliding to his right. I don't know if Stamkos healed this shot. I didn't see the replay of it. But either way, he slides over and makes a save on a cross-ice pass to Steven Stamkos. Again, a guy who's always dangerous no matter where he is, especially from there. Demko had his number in this one, and it was a very good save. Honestly, the shots in this third period ended up being 13-4 for Tampa Bay, and honestly, the entire play was in the Canucks zone. But I don't have a lot of notes here because Tampa Bay, for their 13 shots, I mean, how many of them came from the outside, right? How many of them were point shots? I mean, Tampa Bay has 7 goals from defensemen all year, and two of them aren't from Victor Hedman, and Victor Hedman wasn't playing tonight. So the Canucks did a really good job in the third period of just keeping everything outside. It's a little hairy. I don't like watching it as Tampa Bay's passing around the outside, but the Canucks really never let anything get into the middle. That's great, right? And that helped them protect their lead. My other notes for this period, Nikita Zadorov absolutely bodied a guy. I don't remember who it was, but it was on his own entry, and he just stepped up, put the shoulder directly into the chest. Like, it is textbook open ice hit. Beautiful hit from Nikita Zadorov. And yeah, Canucks kept keeping everything outside. They end up pulling Andrei Vasilevsky about a minute later than they wanted to. They tried to pull him, but the Canucks got possession in their own zone. So they do end up pulling Andrei Vasilevsky with 2.5 minutes to go. All right, here's the pressure, because now you have Steven Stamkos, and you have Nikita Kucherov, and you have Braden Point, and you have Tony Cirelli. Like, all these guys are out there now. And Mikhail Sergachev. They are putting everybody out there. Their big guns are out, and they get set up once. Really, in this 3-1 game. They get set up for about 30 seconds. Not much happens. Puck comes up to center. Brock Besser gets it at center ice and has a chance to put this game away, and he sails it. And I'm thinking, Besser hat trick, back to being tied for the league lead in goals. Like, that's going to be so sweet. And he rips it like 3 feet over the net. So that's tough. And then Niels Höglander goes to retrieve the puck on the wall, and Brock Besser is on like the near side faceoff, like top of the faceoff circle, and he's wide open. And Niels Höglander just needs to huck the puck to him. Besser's beaver tapping. Yep, I'm open. And Niels Höglander says, no, I gave you one. I gave you a chance already. And then he fires it wide. However, luckily, 30 seconds later or whatever it was, Besser does get another chance at center ice, and he does hit it. He ices the game. It's his 5th career hat trick. He's got a couple this year. That is 21 goals on the season for Brock Besser. And for good measure, Quinn Hughes gets an assist on it too, because why not? He's up to 30 assists, by the way. But man, what a story Brock Besser has been. I mean, I feel like I've talked about Brock Besser a lot this year, and it's really just because they keep winning, and Brock Besser keeps scoring, and it's a fun thing to talk about. So 3-goal night for Besser. That is my biggest, sort of, I like to go into my plus and minus for the game, my pluses and minuses for the game, which is essentially the things that I liked from the Canucks, the things I didn't like. Brock Besser, obviously in that plus column. He played a great game. And was he the most noticeable at times? No, but he's always in the right spot, right? That first goal, he is just in the right spot for the rebound that comes to him. That second goal, he gives the puck to Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes goes for a skate. You know, Besser could try to like replace Quinn Hughes and like go to his spot on the point, or he could try to like come down and try to get in the back door, but there's other guys down there to do that. And Besser just stay like, he realizes he has open ice. He's going to sit there. He's going to plant 2 feet and he's going to be ready for the shot because Quinn Hughes is going to know how to find him. And then of course the third goal, I mean, it's an empty netter. So just very smart game from Brock Besser, very smart goals. He's continuing to just impress me every single game. And that is goal number 19, 20, and 21 of the season, tying him with Austin Matthews back for the league lead, which is just awesome. Brock Besser had that 4-goal game at the beginning of the season. We're like, yeah, Brock Besser's leading the league in goals. And we didn't think that, what is this? Is this game 29 for the Canucks this year? What is it actually? 19, 9, and 1. Yeah. Game 29 of the year. And Brock Besser is once again in the league lead for goals this season. I mean, who could have predicted that, right? We're a third of the way into the year. And Brock Besser is tied for the league lead. So that's fantastic. Quinn Hughes is, of course, a big plus. And a big thing for me from Quinn Hughes is the bounce back, right? Let me just pull up my old list here. Against Carolina on Saturday night, Quinn Hughes didn't have a good game, right? He only played 20 minutes, which is a lot for a player, but for Quinn Hughes, it's not, right? So Quinn Hughes goes from having 20 minutes of ice time that game, and he just looked off. He was, he didn't have a good game. What does he do? He comes back tonight. He plays 22 and a half minutes. He's a +3. He has 3 assists. Welcome back, right? What a bounce back. Some people, might falter, right? You have a bad game and you don't know. You're like, man, I'm fighting the puck. You see guys like Kuzmenko get in a slump, and Pettersson when he was in that slump. Quinn Hughes says, no, I'm not having a slump. I just had a bad game. I'm going to come out. I'm going to get 3 assists, and I'm going to tie for the Vancouver Canucks the amount of multi-assist games in his career for a D-man. 53 already in his career. He's had 53 games where he's had more than 1 assist, which is tied for the most ever in Canucks history. And I bet by the end of the month, probably by the end of the week, he might have that record on his own. He's very good tonight. He was very, very good. Philip Hronek also played about 22 minutes. He was also a +3 alongside Quinn Hughes. That pairing was great tonight. Hronek played really well. Had a couple, I think he got the assist on the one shot that ended up being that Besser rebound. Good game from the top pair. Guys who need to be on their best. Other pluses in this one. Niels Höglander. Niels Höglander has been so impressive the last couple weeks. I feel like every single time I've been doing a show, after the Devils game last week, right? That's 3 games ago. Last time I was on here, that was my biggest praise of the night was Niels Höglander. I thought he was the best player on the ice for them against the Devils. And tonight, what did he generate, right? You look at the score sheet, he had 1 assist. He was +1 in 14:43 of ice time. That doesn't tell the whole story at all. The way that Höglander has been playing, the way he just is always in, he always just drops it into gear and is just motoring at all times and just always pressuring, always forechecking, always trying to win a battle. And he wins so many battles. In this game alone, I don't know. We don't have like a takeaways stat, at least not on NHL.com. I'm sure it's tracked somewhere. I imagine he's got a lot because he is always putting on pressure and making plays. The penalty that he drew early in the game, was it the first period? Yeah, it was early in the first period after the Lightning opened the scoring and he had that drive on the 1-on-1 to draw the penalty. Niels Höglander was fantastic tonight. What a fit he's ending up being, right? As Phil DiGiuseppe falls out of that spot with Miller and Besser, Höglander steps in. He was a healthy scratch, a while back. And now here he is coming out and being really the key piece, right? Sure, 1 assist on the night, but guess what? JT Miller had 2 assists and Brock Besser had 3 goals, and Niels Höglander was a big part of all of those. And Niels Höglander should have another assist in this game because Brock Besser sailed that 3rd goal over the net on the first try. So that would have been an assist for Höglander, which would have been nice for his stats. But Niels Höglander, where's he at on the year? He was at 15 points, something along those lines. He was at 13 coming into this game. So he's at 14 points in 27 games, 9 of those being goals. Phenomenal start to this season. From first third, I guess, of the season for Niels Höglander. I want to give some love to the Joshua and Bluger pairing. They played very, very well, especially on the forecheck. Dakota Joshua, early in the season, I was feeling pretty doubtful on Dakota Joshua, and if there was a guy to come into the lineup, I thought he might be close to the top of that list. And of course, this is before the Beauvillier trade and stuff like that. However, Dakota Joshua's been playing very well lately, and he goes out and he's just, again, similar to Niels Höglander, but more of a physical, slower presence, right? Just going on the forecheck, winning pucks. There's one play that Teddy Bluger made tonight where he gets knocked down in the corner and he just reaches out and like hooks the puck back. Like that was a sweet play. Dakota Joshua, when he lost his stick on the in the Tampa Bay zone, second period, I think it was. Yeah, it must have been second period because he was at the Canucks bench in the offensive zone. He loses his stick, so he goes to the bench to get one, and the puck comes up, and the equipment manager doesn't have the stick ready for him. So Joshua puts the puck in his skates, pins himself to the wall, waits for a stick, gets the stick, wins the battle, and pushes it back down the ice. So he was very good. Very, very good tonight. And just, some credit for the guys near the bottom of the lineup. And then my last individual that I'm going to give a bunch of credit to, just going down the lineup, I'll touch on it. Elias Pettersson, I thought played okay. 70% of the faceoff circle's big. Good for him. Nothing on the score sheet, but I thought he played fine. Mikheyev, I thought played fine as well. But Kuzmenko was, of course, the biggest piece of that line tonight. Or I guess Lafferty was on that line, not Kuzmenko. But I think Kuzmenko might get another shot on that line soon, although I've liked Lafferty with them. The biggest one, though, and it's obvious, it's Thatcher Demko. He stops 28 of 29. He goes 6 for 6 on the kill. Bless me. 21 for 22 at evens, 6 for 6 on the kill, and then 1 shorthanded save, or I guess power play save. 28 of 29 for 966. And Demko's been a little shaky lately. He sort of had this one good game, one bad game stretch. However, in this 3-game win streak, he gets the last 2 wins, allowed 3 goals to the Hurricanes and on like 20 something shots. Not ideal, but coming into this game, I think he had a 916. He goes out, stops everything but that first one. And that save percentage will go up probably to 918, 920. And he was absolutely fantastic. The saves that he made on Steven Stamkos alone were fantastic. Keeping a guy like Nikita Kucherov off the score sheet, right? The league leader in points. He came into the game 7 points higher than JT Miller. JT Miller closed that gap a little bit. He gets 2 points. Kucherov gets none. The Canucks did a really good job of shutting down their top players. Nikita Kucherov, by the way, played 26 minutes tonight. You think Tampa Bay didn't want this game? They put Nikita Kucherov out there for 26 minutes. And Canucks held him off the score sheet. So good on Demko and good on the Canucks D. Other pluses. I've got a lot. I have 7. I have 2 more. The 3-game win streak. I mentioned it off the top. For the Canucks to go off of that, their very strong start to the season and then have that lull where they go win one, lose one for a while. And credit to them, they only lost. They lost 2 in a row once, and that was, I think, the Flames and the Kraken. The Flames and the Kraken on November 16th and November 18th, right? But hey, credit to them. That's the only time they lost 2 games in a row since the beginning of the year, right? They now remember when the Canucks lost those 2 games, the 17th and the 18th, or 16th and 18th of November, 5-2 to the Flames, 4-2 to the Kraken. And we said, wow, the Canucks hadn't lost back-to-back games in an entire month when they had done it to the Flyers and the Lightning on October 17th and October 19th. Folks, that was almost a month ago, right? November 18th, it's December 12th, right? The Canucks, as long as they win, a couple of their next 4 games, they'll do it again. They'll go another whole month without losing 2 in a row. Knock on wood. So hopefully, that matters. That's great, right? The Canucks have had their, they had their dip and they come right back out. They get the shutout against the Wild. They get a tough win over the Hurricanes that they battled out, thanks to Elias Pettersson for a lot of that. And then they come out and win a gutsy one against the Lightning. I love it. I love the fight back from the team is fantastic. And then, the last one that I have is they sort of got the monkey off the back in a couple ways, right? One is Andrei Kuzmenko getting the monkey off the back. And the other one is that Tampa Bay hasn't lost to the Canucks in 4 years. But the Canucks got it done. And that is pretty sweet. 2016, I think, was the last time that the Canucks had won against Tampa at home, which is not a great stat, but that stat is now in the past. Don't have to worry about that one anymore. Before we get to my negatives for this game, while you're all here, there's over 180 of you in here. Thank you all very much for joining. Make sure you hit that like button. It makes me look good to the old Steve Dangle Podcast Network brass, which is great. Make sure you're subscribed. I know SDPN's close to 100K subscribers, so let's get those up there. You can also find me on Twitter and YouTube at Parker's Pucks. All right, negatives for this game. I've got a couple. And by the way, after the negatives, I'm going to go to you, the people. So now is the time to start firing in any questions. If you had any thoughts on this game, if you have any questions, I mean, we can talk about Washington. I see there's some conversation about Washington moving to Virginia potentially. Ethan Bear signing in Virginia, I guess, soon, but signing with the Washington Capitals, seemingly. I don't know if that was confirmed yet or not, but I saw it on RMNB. So after my minuses, we'll go to the people's questions. So get your questions in now. All right, my minuses for this game. First period. Pretty shaky. Pretty shaky first. Like I talked about the analytics, right? In all situations, high danger chances were 4-1 for the Lightning. Expected goals in the first period in all situations, 1.41 for Tampa Bay, 0.27 for the Canucks. That's an 84% to 16% difference. That's not good. The fact that the Canucks got out of that just down one, I mean, bravo Thatcher Demko. And and good on Niels Höglander for drawing that penalty that the Canucks were able to capitalize on that power play. I'd like to see the first periods get a little bit better. I mean, the Wild game against Minnesota, right? That 2-0 win. I think that's a good example too, where the Canucks really were in a lull to start that game. They did not show up in time, but DeSmith held the minute, and then they went against the pace of play and scored a goal to make it 1-0, and then eventually hung on and won that game 2-0. I'd like the first periods to look a little bit more like the second periods. It feels almost like they're saving their energy up for the second, and then they take a lead, and then they sit back in the third. I'd like to just play better in the first. I think that would be nice. And then talking about the third period, going into pure survival mode, right? And again, that makes me nervous. And going back to the analytics, expected goals in the third period, 2 flat for Tampa Bay. And they score none because Thatcher Demko was fantastic. 8 high danger chances. The shots were 13-4. Corsi, which is shot attempts, pretty even through the first 2 periods, 33-12 in favor of the Lightning, right? That just tells you how much zone time Tampa Bay had in that third period. And the Canucks had 1 expected goal, 0.99. So, they were dominant in the third period. And I again, it's not fun to watch just being there in stress mode, hoping that the Canucks can hang on, because sometimes it doesn't work, right? Tampa Bay at times in this third period looked like the Devils did in the last few minutes of that game a week ago, where they did get the winning goal in the last minute. It kind of had that same feeling, at least this time the Canucks had a 2-goal lead throughout the third. And then my last minus is that the Canucks got to figure out this too many men thing. Like, they gotta figure it out. It's been 3 different coaches at this point, right? It was a problem under Travis Green. It was a problem under Bruce Boudreau, and now it's a problem under Rick Tocchet. We gotta stop having 6 guys on the ice. It's not that hard to count. And like, this one was funny too, because it's just like, 1 guy goes off, 2 guys come on. Like, it wasn't even like a weird change. Like the last game in Carolina, it was Ian Cole going to the bench, and a guy steps on, and Ian Cole's like, wait, I'm not coming off, but that guy was already on. It was too late. This one was just like, did the coach tap 2 guys? Did 2 guys think they were playing left wing or center or whatever position it was? Yeah, it's just not ideal. So they gotta work that out, because giving away free power plays, especially against a team like Tampa Bay, sure, they didn't have Hedman, but still have Kucherov and Stamkos, and Sergachev's a fine fill-in on the power play. Can't be giving up those free ones like that, because the power plays end up being 3-2 in this game, and maybe 1 less. Not that it would have made a difference. The Canucks would win anyways, but long term, it would be nice to have fewer penalties to deal with. So that's my thoughts on this game. I'm going to scroll up in the chat to when I said to put in your questions, because we are now going to get to your questions. By the way, like I said, make sure you hit that like button while you are here to the 180 of you here, 185, whatever that number is. It keeps changing. Make sure you're subscribed to SDPN Sports. All right, let's go to a couple of questions before we wrap it up for the night. Let's see here. Fangirl asks if you can only sign one of Zadorov and Hronek, who'd you prefer? I mean, obviously we'd want Filip Hronek long term, right? I mean, he's a guy who's essentially been point per game so far this season, just under it. I wonder actually where he stands now, because I don't know if he got an assist tonight. Actually, that's going to help. He was just under. He's at 27 points in 29 games this year, 25 assists plus 19. What that does mean though is Filip Hronek is going to be expensive. Obviously, he's a UFA. They need to, but you have a partner for Quinn Hughes, right? And I saw that mentioned by Wallach. Sorry, the font is very small. Wallach mentions like you kind of have to go with Hronek, who's been with Hughes, right? Yeah, I think now that you've got a partner for Quinn Hughes, I think you just have to pay him whatever he requires to stay. And I think if you're Filip Hronek, you're looking at this and like, man, I have to play with Quinn Hughes for the rest of my career. Oh no, you're forcing my hand, right? Like that's sort of a win-win for everybody. For Filip Hronek, you're on a team that is now seemingly winning, which is nice. And if you can be paired essentially for the next chunk of your career with, one of the best defensemen in the league in Quinn Hughes, I'm sure that's some nice incentive for him. But of course, that's going to be a lot more expensive than keeping a guy like Nikita Zadorov around. However, if Zadorov has more games like he had tonight, he's technically a -1, but I don't really fault him for that first goal. Maybe he could have been there. I didn't really see him on that play, which maybe that's not a good thing. However, he's going to be cheaper. But, the way that Patrick Allvin sort of worked the salary cap this summer and going out signing guys like Ian Cole for fairly cheap, Carson Soucy for fairly cheap, Teddy Bluger, Sam Lafferty trade, Pius Suter, like all these guys were pretty cheap. And Allvin seems to know how to go get some value, especially out of UFAs, especially deeper in the lineup, right? And that's where Zadorov is going to be, right? He's going to be number 4 to number 6 defenseman on this team. And for that, you don't want to be paying too much. So I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to get both done, especially with Tyler Myers going out. They're going to need a couple more defensemen probably to come in. So we'll definitely see what happens there. Let's see here. Alex just says, are you surprised with how the Canucks offense is doing so far this season? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, they're the top scoring team in hockey right now, right? They've got 111 goals, which is more than anyone else. And a big part of that is, the big names stepping up, right? Guys like Brock Besser, JT Miller, even Elias Pettersson in a bit of a slump, but he's doing great. Quinn Hughes is scoring a bunch of goals. So yeah. Sorry, I said, how do I say UFA? He's an RFA. My bad. Clay says, great game, great win, great host, great show. Thank you. I agree with all 4 of those. To be full of myself, but no, it was a great game, great win. Colin saying, I know they're playing well, but don't you think that Baines has earned his chance to come up? I haven't followed the Abbey Canucks a ton, and it's easier to not follow them a ton when the Vancouver Canucks are doing well. What's he got? He's got 3 goals, 18 assists in 19 games, so 21 points, over a point per game. Yeah, it sounds like a guy who is definitely going to be pushing, right? I mean, he's 22. He'll be 23 in a month. But I don't see them making any adjustments here right now. Because if you are taking a guy out of the lineup, right? I mean, Mark Friedman's the only scratch. So they seem to like Linus Karlsson. But you got to look at the other guys that are sort of in that same conversation, right? Linus Karlsson, Jack Studnicka, Vasily Podkolzin, Aatu Ratu, Arshdeep Baines is there. Sheldon Dries is there, right? A name that we saw quite a bit last year. So it depends on the situation, right? If it's an injury replacement where he's going to have to fill in and maybe he's, on a 4th line role, I could see them going with like a Linus Karlsson who they sort of liked his defensive style, or, even a Vasily Podkolzin, because he looked decent, at least in preseason. So but for perhaps, there's no reason why not. And I'd be totally okay with it, if need be, but I don't think they're going to take anyone out of the lineup right now, in order to get that done. All right. My last question that we're going to take here in this one is from Silas. Thank you, Silas, saying, sign Myers at league minimum as your sixth defenseman. I'll actually take one more question after this because I saw one that I liked. Sign Myers at league minimum as your sixth defenseman. My problem with that is how long does it last? How long until you start relying on Tyler Myers and moving him up in the lineup and playing him 21 minutes? That's my fear, right? I mean, what did he play tonight? He played 19-12. I think there's better options. If they are so cap strapped that they need a league minimum D to fill out their 6D, then maybe. The thing is, I think there will be other teams that will be able to offer him a little bit more ice time, maybe teams that aren't as high in the standings, which is a weird thing to say as a Canucks fan. But if it's for league minimum and you're bringing him in as your number 7, then I'm a little bit more interested in, but I'm also okay with just letting the Tyler Myers end with a whimper, or Tyler Myers era end with a whimper. Last question I'm going to take here is from Just Degree. Should the Canucks make the skate their full-time jersey? This one's tough. Because is it fantastic? Yeah, it really is. It's beautiful. It looks so good. I've always liked the blue and green because it's a very Vancouver color scheme, right? Like the trees and water, it's our thing. We're a forest. And I think the Canucks regular color scheme is good. And the black and yellow and red is it doesn't really fit. I mean, I can see it. I have a jersey right there. And again, I will wear it every single time I go to a game, except for Thursday. But yeah, it's just, I love it. It's so nice that if they went with it, I wouldn't be upset. So yeah, I think, folks, that's where we're going to wrap up in this one. Make sure you subscribe to SGPN Sports. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you come find me if you enjoyed me personally. Twitter, Parker's Pucks. YouTube, Parker's Pucks. And Thursday, I don't know who you have Thursday, but I know it's not Clay, and I know it's not me, because we will both be at the game cheering on Roberto Luongo for his Ring of Honor night. So you will have Sam on Thursday, but Saturday you will have the whole squad, all 4 of us. We're doing our Christmas extravaganza. This is an early game. It's an 11 a.m. start, so we'll all be on here at about 1:30, 1:45 Pacific time on Saturday. The 4 of us having a party, wearing Santa hats, doing all that good stuff. So folks, make sure you're subscribed for all of that. Otherwise, have a lovely night. I'll see you later.
Game over!